Hi, thank you for joining me. Today I'd like to talk about the centering of your being. And you may be familiar with the several chakras that are of the Eastern traditions, Buddhist, Hindu, those type of philosophies and religions. So what I'm here today talking about is actually the centralized focus of your awareness on these centers. So we oftentimes say that we are head oriented people or we're heart oriented people, and these centers exist for all of us. And depending on where your consciousness is, right, because your consciousness, it can be anywhere at any time, including your body. So we have these centers that help us really divide and categorize parts of our body so that we can really identify with them and focus our awareness on them. But what I want to propose here today is that it's not so much the important that where your focus is. It doesn't matter if your focus is on the head or the heart or the sex organs or the navel, because the navel is also a very sacred place where you connect with your breath. And so you can connect with each point individually. However, what is really significant is that you are centering, that you are centered in your awareness. It doesn't matter where you are. A lot of Buddhists actually teach that to center their consciousness in their big toe on their foot. And this is just an exercise for you to center your consciousness. That's what is really significant. It doesn't matter where it is. So you can center your consciousness outside on a project or a business or a relationship, and that is perfectly valid. And that will give you, relate you to you information and give you insights and more understanding on a subjective kind of learning level. However, what I'm proposing here is that it doesn't so much matter what you're focusing your awareness on. It could be out there, it could be in here, it could be anywhere in the body. The only significant thing is that you are centering your awareness. And some places in the body are better for us to do that than others. Like, how a lot of people are really into reading and books and maybe even schoolwork, right? Like writing and studying. So that would be, they're centering their awareness on the head. And then others, who are artists that have like a craft or do something that they love on a consistent and daily basis. It could even be a relationship, because that is a form of art in a way. Communing with somebody is a very intuitive kind of personal thing. So, and many people learn a lot through relationships and they're pursuing their passion, right? Because the heart kind of goes beyond logic and reasoning and proof and sciences and studying, and goes into the experiential realm of feelings and subjectivity, rather like the mind and the head oriented people are all about objective and the objective world, the physical world, science. So And these centers of the body are different ways for the consciousness to develop. And it is different ways to sharpen and hone and center yourself in a more efficient way. And I would like to propose again here that it doesn't so much matter where you're centering your consciousness. It could be on a project, it could be on your art, it could be in your relationships. But what is significant is that you are completely centered and actually experiencing it without judgment, without kind of reducing it down to something that is for you, and doing it as a shared experience that is kind of all inclusive, if you will. So I also want to say here that the navel is actually where a lot of us desire to visit, but we lose our ability how to. So that's what we do when we're actually sexually driven. We're actually focusing our awareness on the lower portions of our body, which we forget in this Western world, in this mind-ruled world. We forget how to center our consciousness on the lower areas of the body. And they're just as valid as the higher areas because they make up the whole being. So when we center our awareness and concentrate and meditate on the lower areas and kind of exercise on using those areas and focusing your attention on them, then those areas become more accessible to you, and they are much more centered and much more primordial and basic and fundamental in your own existence and your own experience as a human than the higher areas. Because the navel is like, the point where we're attached to the mother and we get our life source, right? So it also represents like the breath. It represents like the diaphragm. So that's our power center. So the diaphragm and the navel are really our life source. And we come into the world with this primordial basic awareness. If you look at, child breathing, they breathe with their stomach. They breathe with their belly, and they don't breathe with their chest, and they don't breathe with like their head, right? They don't have shallow breath. They have deep breath, and that's because they have that lower center awareness, that activation in that lower center. And we forget about that because as we go throughout life, we're learning. We learn how to connect with others and how to share and express ourselves, right? That's like very much heart centered. And then we learn how to articulate and kind of form thoughts, our own thoughts and ideas, and share those. And that's like, very mental. So as we grow in the world, we learn about the heart and we learn about the mind. And those things are gathered and through experience and through time, essentially. So what is always ever present, that is always keeping you alive, is that kind of unconscious, that source of life that is always keeping you breathing, that is always keeping you without having to think, is giving you life. It's a life source, and that is the lower centers. So I highly recommend that you focus your awareness on those lower centers and just like completely feel what it is to use the diaphragm and use the breath and completely breathe into the navel without having any thoughts or any feelings really, or actually feel completely into the navel and see what it gives you ultimately, because that is the center of being. So again, we as a culture, we try to visit that place of the and get out of our heads through, it could be fast cars and driving, it could be shooting guns, it could be video games where you are killing and you're violent, because those moments that you feel like you are going to die, or that you have this adrenaline and you have this feeling that you are going to you could die at any moment, kind of, and it's like it's a dangerous feeling, right? When you're in that sort of danger, that you're really kind of putting yourself into a situation that is new, and you can't really use your head to wrap itself around it or plan something. We go there and visit that on the weekends, right? We go there, even in the TV shows we watch, the violent TV shows, we visit the navel, and we visit that primordial place, and that gives us a feeling of aliveness. And the more that you direct your centeredness and center your consciousness on that primordial, no thought kind of vacancy of any stimulus of the mind, any plans, and any bargaining, and you can really go into that that center and go into this state of aliveness that is not accessible through the mind, and can be shared through the heart, but ultimately it needs another person to be felt, and that other person will bring you back down to the navel and the lower sexual center, where then you will have your awareness focus kind of for you. But if you focus your awareness for yourself on the navel, then it kind of you can travel there much quicker without having to stay in any other of your centers of awareness. And whether you're focusing your awareness on a finger, your forearm, your thigh, your calf, or your big toe, the most important thing is that you are centering your awareness. And you can do that through many things. You can do that through arts. You can do that through business, through your work you do. So we do that already, but to do it more efficiently and to do it more consciously is ultimately what I'm getting at here, and to not really be judgmental about why or where you're setting your focus, as long as it's working, as long as it's bringing you a more connected feeling with the all that is, and that the beingness that you are, and like the essence of what you are, because in that essence you can replenish the aliveness and the robustness of your own human experience. So that's where we really get our energy and our and the ultimate kind of subjective experience that we are valid, we are whole, we are complete. So again, we try and visit this place of the navel continuously through violence and stuff, and sex and all these things, and that's what it's doing. It's bringing us into this point of I could die at any moment, and I'm making myself vulnerable, and I can't really plan this out. I'm just completely feeling into this experience and this now moment, and it really gets you out of your head. So again, I highly recommend it. And also, we tend to think that warriors. Thank you guys for watching so much, and I'll see you guys on another video.